following thoughts, opinions, stories, and expressions are meant for those who will appreciate them. If you don't, we hope you keep an open soul to encounter another here on 34 Questions. Peace. 3, 2, 1. What's going on, folks? Welcome to 34 Questions. I'm your host, 34. And tonight I have a very special guest. Ashante is in the building. How you doing tonight, Ashante?
I'm good. I'm feeling good.
I just want to apologize for messing up on your name. For the folks who didn't see it, the first time I just crashed and burned, but thank you for giving me another chance. I appreciate you making time for this interview. How you feeling? You feeling good about it? You feeling nervous, or what's your perspective on it?
I'm a little in between. I'm usually someone that interviews people, so this is new for me to be interviewed.
That's what's up. Do you have your own podcast, or do you just interview people for like journalistic?
I study journalism.
Oh, snap. That's what's up. Do you mind me asking, like, what your dream is in journalism? Are you trying to start your own publication or anything else?
Well, I also realized that I don't want to be a journalist while I was studying journalism, but I did want to be a foreign correspondent, so like a global journalist and go around the world. But now I kind of just don't think that's on the path anymore, but I still feel like I could do travel writing, which is pretty sick to me too.
Yeah, get paid to travel the world. I think that's a lot of people's dreams out there. But I want to ask you more about your journalistic inspiration. But before we get there, I want to let the folks out there know the flow of the show. We do some intro questions just to set the tone. Then we'll jump into some icebreakers. After that, we'll get into the main meat where we go to the wheel of fate, spin the wheel, and let it guide our conversation. And then after that, we'll finish out with some closeout questions. Sound good to you?
Yeah.
All right. Well, my very first question for you is, how have you been? I know it's been a crazy couple years for everybody. You've been doing well. You've been doing great. How you been lately?
I've been okay. I've been in a really long transition period because I just graduated college last year, and I also got back from traveling the world for 6 months. So I was living in Denmark for 6 months. So that was a whole thing, and I was moving a lot. And I'm still moving a lot. So I just relocated again after coming back from Denmark. So it's just been a lot of movement. And that can be stressful. Yeah.
Do you foresee yourself continuing the movement, or are you trying to find a place to settle for a little bit?
I'm trying to chill. I'm trying to chill for now.
I got you. Denmark is a like, I don't know, for you, what brought you out there?
Journalism.
Yeah.
So I wanted to study abroad before I graduated college. So I extended my college career to study abroad. And I thought, it'd be nice to graduate and also be done with an international program at the same time. But it turns out that's a lot of post things you have to deal with.
Oh, for real?
Post-grad depression, post-trip depression.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't realize, when I was done with the trip, that I would feel so much excess emotion after being gone. Because you get attached to a place when you're there for a while.
Yeah. May I ask, so you go to Denmark, how long did it take you to before you start feeling like, oh, I'm a local here, or like I know where things are and I know what I'm doing?
I started to feel that way maybe 3 months in.
3 months in? Gotcha. Yeah. What would you say was your favorite part of that experience?
Just being able to also travel other parts of Europe too, because Denmark is pretty close to every other part. So I was able to go to Croatia, Barcelona, and also Poland. So that was pretty cool.
That's what's up. What's your next destination? I know you're saying you're trying to settle, but for vacation wise, where would you like to go?
I'm actually going somewhere for my birthday, which is March 4th. So it's coming up.
For sure.
I'm going to Washington State. That's where I'm from.
Oh,
I'm visiting my brother. Yeah.
That's what's up. That's happy early birthday then, in that case. This will probably be released around the same time as your birthday, so hopefully I can get it to you on the day of for sure. So you're from Washington State, right? Is that the only place you've ever lived, or have you been able to, live in various places?
I've moved. So I lived in Washington State for 15 years, and then I moved to Sacramento with my family. And then I moved to San Francisco for college, and then the pandemic took me back. Then I lived in Sacramento again, and now I live in Oakland.
Got you. Yeah, it's funny. The way I found you to come onto the show was through, I think I followed a musician in the Bay Area, and then from the related people, how it always pops up as far as related people. Yours pop up, and I think it's because you're from this area, or at least the algorithm that you're connected to the musical act. But are you pretty active as far as like the music scene out here, or not so much?
Actually, yeah, I'm also a singer. I haven't dropped anything recently, but I'm a singer.
That's what's up.
Yeah, poet. I think people know me more so out here for my poetry.
For sure. Do you have a pen name, or do you just go by your regular name?
My pen name is Angel Ash.
Angel Ash? Gotcha. Well, that's great. It leads on to my second question in the warm-up, and that is, what would you like the audience to know about you that maybe you haven't already mentioned?
I'd like the audience to know that I'm a healer. So my main niche is spirituality, but right now I'm just kind of closed with my practices. But that's something I'm passionate about, is healing community and healing myself.
Gotcha.
So that's why I was very honored to be in this podcast, because I like your mission statement.
I appreciate it. Yeah, it's all about spirituality. For me at least, it's trying to get us closer to the spirits in the future, as well as just trying to honor at least my ancestors. That's why I've kind of created this platform, I felt like I had that missing connection with them, and I wanted to make sure that we could have that connection with our descendants. But yeah, well, I'll definitely dig into your spirituality a little bit later in the interview. Follow-up question is, what is the biggest misconception about you, would you say?
I would say that some people find me like intimidating, or as really blunt, harsh person, but that's because I'm very honest. And I try not to hide that, because I think it's important to be honest and just directly communicate whatever you're feeling. So if I'm not feeling like I want to be best friends with somebody, I'm just gonna not do that. So I think sometimes people can take that the wrong way.
For sure. I think it's a very admirable trait. Like for me, that's something I'm working on, is trying to be more honest, because in my head I'm an overthinker, and so like when something comes up, I'm trying to find the nicest way I can say something instead of just spitting it out. So definitely admire the fact that you can do that. Do you think that's something that you've always had, or something that you kind of grew into as you got older?
No, it's something I have to work on still to this day, because I'm a people pleaser, or trying not to be that no more. So I just realized that didn't benefit me in any way. So I was like, no, I should just be honest with everybody involved, including myself.
I got you. I got to keep that in mind. And yeah, it's like, I know the struggle of a people pleaser. For all the folks out there, you know how it is. It's a struggle, and I don't know. I think we all get to a certain point where the pressure, or just our own self-awareness is kind of, it becomes that negative, and you kind of just gotta let it go and be real with people. But yeah, thank you for sharing. My third question for you in the warm-up is, if I were to do something in your honor, a way to express the energy you possess, what could I do?
You could maybe dance or sing, or just move your body, move your spirit around, and share it with others. So energetically connect with everything around you. That would honor me, sure.
I gotcha. Now we know. And how would you like to be remembered?
I would like to be remembered as someone that's touched hearts, someone that's motivated people to keep going if they're going through things. Just inspire others. I want to be remembered for inspiring people to do what they want in this life.
I feel that. And my last question for you in the warm-up is, on a scale from 1 to 10, how well do you know yourself?
I would say about 7.
7, for sure. Do you mind if I ask how you got to that number?
I feel like 7 is a very medium number, because I feel like you can't all the way know yourself, but if you practice every day and reflect every day as I do, I would like to say I know myself a little bit. So I'm gonna give myself a medium rank, but I don't think there's an end goal. I don't think you can know yourself to the 10, because you change every day.
I hear you. What would you say is the last time you surprised yourself?
Today actually. Today I surprised myself. Oh, God.
How so?
I was gonna say like a little judgy comment to my partner about something, and then I thought in my head, and I was like, you don't need to say that. Like, you don't need to say that. You can just keep that to yourself.
I got you.
I felt better about that, because I was like, why was I even judging in the first place when I do things like this all the time? That was so good.
That was a good catch. I know I do that all the time. It's like we can't stop our judgments, but we can, be aware of them and like realize, oh, maybe I shouldn't, or maybe I shouldn't continue to dwell on this thought. But yeah, that's a great catch then. All right, we're gonna move on to some of the icebreakers, but before we head there, just want to remind everybody, if you're liking the content, enjoying the show, please like, subscribe, and share. Ooh, it's always hard for me to say those words. It just sounds so cringy to me. But moving on to the icebreakers. This next part is going to be an agree or disagree. There's just some statements that I have that I haven't, really figured out for myself yet. So I want to see if you can convince me either way with what your thoughts are on it. The first statement is, people are ultimately good. Do you agree or disagree?
Agree.
Well, why so, if you don't mind me asking?
I agree, because when you're born, you get that first 7 years to learn everything. So if you also too, let me just go into what I was saying backwards a bit. There's no such thing as good or bad. That's how I feel. There's no such thing as good or bad. And I think to put it in a binary like that is very limiting. And I do think people change all the time. So to say that someone is always good or always bad is a little extreme to me. But yeah, I think, people have the ability to change, and that's the main thing that everyone should know.
I got you. That's a good way to put it. Maybe I should stop talking in definitive statements like that. But I do also agree that people can change. I know it's a hard process sometimes, but I do think if someone's like really looking for personal change, they can, for sure. And my second statement for you is, happiness is the most important thing. Agree or disagree?
Disagree.
Okay. What would you say is the most important thing then?
The most important thing is just being present in yourself, and where you are, and trying not to think in the past or in the future. If you're being in the present moment, that's I think experiencing the totality of life.
I feel you. Or I'm just curious, for things like being present in like a bad place, how, for me, I don't know if you've ever heard that saying that like pain, real pain lasts for like 9 minutes, and anything after that is self-inflicted. So how long could I stay in a bad place? Because sometimes, I'll be real with you, I let myself be in that place for maybe a month, maybe 2 months, maybe a year. But yeah, before I can finally move on. But any tips for folks that might be struggling with that?
You have to just get yourself moving, and that's hard for me to say too, because when you get in that stuck mindset, it's easy to be physically stuck. So to stay in your bed, to do the bare minimum. But you have to know that if I'm moving, no matter where I'm going, then I'm doing something for my body, for my mind, and for myself. But it is hard to get out of that stuck place because there's so many ways to make yourself stuck and to sink. You can definitely dig holes. You can dig holes and lay in them, but it's a matter of, am I going to take any action to do anything? And that can be good or bad. But I think you have to feel the stuff. You have to feel it as long as you need to, and then allow yourself to take action. Just continue to move no matter what it is.
I hear you. Yeah, my whole goal for at least last year, I would say I was stuck for like 10 years. And my whole goal last year was just to stay consistent with my movement, even if it's just a step a day or whatever. That was definitely the goal, was just gotta do something. And then my last statement for you is, there is no try, just do. Agree or disagree?
I agree.
Yeah.
Just doing, yeah. And I also think trying and doing goes hand in hand.
Can you elaborate? Because I know for me, right, like personally for me, people can say, oh, I'm a podcaster, I'm doing the podcast. But in my view, I feel like I'm still just trying, I'm trying to do the best I can with it. I don't feel like I'm there yet. So you're saying try and do are related. How would you elaborate on that?
It seems to be, trying just seems to be almost a weaker word, because it's, if you're trying to do something, you are still doing it. So it's just, stepping into that confidence of, yeah, I'm doing this thing and I'm trying my best at it. So you need to put the try afterwards instead of before. I got you.
I'm gonna try to keep that in mind. It's a tough one for me. All right. Well, we're gonna move on to the next icebreaker, which is a word association. So I'm gonna just throw words at you. Give me the first thought. Like, it could be a word, it could be a sentence around the word for you. And I'm gonna pull up a countdown. So don't be intimidated, but you have 34 seconds to answer as many as you can. And this is the record is 9. So, but take your time with them. Go with what feels natural. And here we go. 3, 2, 1. Your first word is love.
Love is who I am.
Happiness.
Happiness is not a destination.
Art.
Art is the only way to get anything going in any movements. So cultural movements, historical movements, art. Yeah, art is the movement. You probably heard that saying before. I don't know. But I do agree with that.
And your last one is knowledge.
Knowledge is power. Favorite.
I hear you. You said art was movement. So you said, I might have heard that. I haven't heard that statement before, but how did you come to that? Or, what introduced you to that idea?
So art, to me, is the one thing that brings everyone in the world together. So no matter whatever differences anyone has, art is the one thing that brings everyone together and everyone moving. And since it's Black History Month, I'll talk about the Harlem Renaissance. That was a huge part in the civil rights movement, like a very huge part in it. And art also just touches people in a way that can tap into all your senses. So yeah, that's definitely moving. Like, I don't know, I love art. I love art.
I know you said you.
So good.
When did
Every
you?
time.
When did you first discover art for you, or like that? You had that attachment to it.
I would say when I was in 4th grade, we had to share a talent of ours randomly. And I just decided to share a poem. And it was the first poem I ever wrote. And I was just like, okay, I'm gonna try this, see if anyone likes it. Because no one was doing that in 4th grade. Everyone else brought something or read a part of their favorite book, But I was like, let me do this. And I remember doing it. And then after, there was just a pause and no one was saying anything. And then this one kid was like, wow, that was pretty good for a fourth grader. People started clapping, and I was like, you know what? I like this. I'm gonna keep writing poetry.
One of your classmates said that? Like, just hella random?
Yeah. I was like, why? Because you're in fourth grade too. Like, what do you know? but yeah, ever since then, I was just like, I'm gonna think about poetry more, and I'm gonna think about singing and dancing and everything that goes hand in hand with words. So words was my first art form I fell in love with. But like visual stuff too was a little later when I started understanding visual art more.
I got you. And you kind of mentioned that you slowed down on your music. I can definitely relate to that. My first goal was to be a rapper, and I could never find that consistency with it. Yeah, so for you, like, do you feel, I don't know, I had to move on from it. I turned 27, I wasn't getting anywhere, and my parents had that conversation with me, like, what are you gonna do with your life? So I had to pivot, but I think you still got a chance. Do you feel like you're gonna get back to it, or yeah, where's that spark for you right now as far as singing goes and music?
I'm absolutely gonna get back to music. Actually, a friend of mine just dropped an EP, and I was like, you know what? I like this. I'm glad you're doing it, because the whole thing with me is I just don't know how to finish. Don't know how to finish projects musically, and I'm also so attached to music because it's very vulnerable for me. So I feel like I have to hoard so many things because I'm like scared to show people this side of me. But I know it's important, and I know it's part of healing, not just for me, but for everybody. So people need to hear what I have to say. It's true. And I always have these little, like, random people just be like, oh, when are you gonna make music again? And I haven't dropped anything since like 2018, 2019, something like that. And people are still like, oh, when are you gonna make something? And it'll be people I'm not even close to that are still thinking about this song that I made a long time ago. So I was like, you know what? I had to just put my doubt aside and actually go with this, because there's people coming back into my life, people I'm seeing that are inspiring me every day and reminding me that, yeah, this is something in my path that I should pursue if I want to be on my healing journey, be on my community healing journey, because music is extremely healing.
For sure. Honestly, that's why I was into it. And I think another part of it, like, I wanted to be a rapper, but didn't really have a firm idea of what I had to become to be one. And I used rap and hip hop as poetry, you know, like I was always writing about my story. And I think that's what also got me to move away from it a little bit, is that my story was pretty repetitive. I told you I was stuck for 10 years, and yeah, every song, it just felt like the same song, you know, me messing up, me wanting to make it, and me just chilling. It was like those three songs over and over again. So I wanted to do a little more living before I can get back and, you know, maybe write a different story. You feel me? But yeah, for sure. I want to encourage you to go ahead and do it. If you got that kind of reception and that audience already like begging you to come back, you should definitely step into it one more time.
Also too, I think, you know, you mentioned just being stuck in writing the same song over and over again. I think a part of my journey with music was that I needed that time to go and experience more and just take some time off to grab some more stories, so I have something to tell. So it was like hermit mode, but just being quiet about the things I was doing and really immersing myself in the experience that has allowed me to write better. So going back, reassessing your stories, and writing, and really writing, instead of thinking about, okay, who's gonna hear this? Who do I want to hear this? Blah, blah, blah. Think about what you want to hear. So that's been my process. I've been like, look, I want to know what I like to listen to. I don't care what anyone else likes to listen to. I'll find my sound that's unique to me, that's healing for me. And then if it touches somebody, I feel even better. That's been the process.
I feel you. I do want to ask you, and I'm kind of against making comparisons, but is there any artist that you feel like you could be friends with? You know, like, oh, that person got the songs, got the sound, that we could be best friends, yo. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, there is somebody that I don't know her, but I have met her before. Her name is Camilla Cummington. She's from SAC. She's an up and coming like R&B artist, kind of jazz soul type vibe, and she's a lyricist. Her lyrics are really good, like extremely good, and it reminds me of myself. And sometimes I'm like, damn, did I have an idea earlier? She just did it. You know what I mean? Like, but yeah, I definitely feel like that's somebody that inspires me because that's someone that's in close proximity to me. So I'm like, yo, I need to figure out what I want to do because I can see this being done.
Mm-hmm. I know. I don't know if you get those chills anytime you hear a song and then there's some like lyric that just hits you the right way and you're just like, I could have said that. I could have wrote that. But yeah,
absolutely.
I hear you. Give me that name one more time.
Camilla Covington.
Camilla Covington. All right, for sure. Thanks for putting us on. All right, well, we made it to the main portion where I'm going to bring out the wheel right now. And you'll see it pop up on your screen at the bottom. You see it fine on your end?
Yeah, it's just like kind of hidden a little bit.
It's a little small, but I trust me, when the video releases, it's gonna look good. But here we go with the first spin. And like I said, if there's any question that feels too deep or personal, feel free to pass. There's always like a easier version of the number. So your first number is 31. And the question is, how high are your walls?
They are pretty high right now. They are pretty high.
Is there, what would you say could, if you're meeting new folks, what allows you to bring them down a little bit? Like, when do you start feeling like this could be a safe place and I can be a little more of myself? You know what I mean?
When I notice someone showing genuine interest in me in the conversation as I'm doing the same. Like, I don't like when I'm with somebody and I just feel like a placeholder. Like, I hear someone like yakking about themselves, or just like, and I didn't ask, you know what I mean? I want to be with someone who's present in the conversation. And if I'm with someone that's present in the conversation, then I feel completely safe. But it's always a red to me when someone's like yakking and just like giving all their business and never like asking like, oh, like, how are you doing? Because I don't want to be a dumpster for nobody. Like, that's been happening too much. So yeah, I think as long as I recognize that this person is being present and I'm being present, then I will feel safe having a conversation.
I got you. Why, out of your life experience, what percentage of people would you say have walls versus don't? Because I think there's that small percentage of people that don't, and they can come off eccentric and crazy. But yeah, for you, in your experience, how many people have had walls?
So I will say maybe around like 30-40% people have walls with me. Only because for some reason, you know how some people have like a friendly face? Like, I think that's me, because people always come up to me no matter where I am in the world, always come up, share their business, whatever they need to do, whatever they need to get off their chest. So I'm like, that's a little free. That sounds crazy to just go up to a stranger and tell them everything. But I think it's because of that intuitive sense that they know that I'm like an empathetic person, which I am. A lot of people will tell me their business and I've known them for 3 days. So that's my experience. Yeah, I would say a lot of people don't really have their wall up with me, because sometimes I come up very non-threatening. I have like a happy looking face. In real life, I don't know, it's like on the internet right now.
It's harder to tell on the internet, but yeah, in person, I think you could definitely feel the vibe and energy of a person a lot easier. But that's what's up. 30 to 40%, I think, is a lower number than I feel like some of my guests have mentioned. Maybe because they themselves have their wall so up that, it's hard for two people to kind of bring them down. But yeah, as someone that's empathetic, I'm sure like people have felt that comfortability a lot quicker and was like, you know what, even if it is a total stranger, like this person's not gonna, judge me or say some shit to me, so for sure. And my last follow-up to this is, why do you think we build walls in the first place? Like, where does that start? Because I feel like when we're kids, those walls aren't there, and then all of a sudden something just clicks. And yeah, go ahead, what are your thoughts on that?
Definitely protection. So I was just thinking about this today, actually, about people pleasing, because he has a hard time with that. And I was like, where did people pleasing, where did we start doing that? And I was like, you know what? It has to be because somewhere along the line, our parent or somebody, we're being direct with our parents, saying, no, don't talk to me like this, or like, don't do this certain thing. I don't like this. And then our parent had a bad reaction to it. So got mad or something, or we got punished for, our honesty, or saying we don't like something, because that's translated into disrespect in most cultures. And I think that's where the people pleasing comes from, not wanting that negative reaction to whatever emotion you're feeling, your true emotion.
For sure. That's sometimes some deep rooted traumas that a lot of people pleasers I think do have. And you made me realize that must have happened to me super early, because I can't remember a time when I wasn't people pleasing, But yeah, that's a trip. For sure. I'm gonna give the wheel another spin. Got number 22. And this question is, how much of yourself is genetics versus influence? Like, how much would you say came from your family versus your environment,
That's a really deep question.
Feel free to pass. If you're not feeling it. It's all good.
I'm not sure if I can articulate it well, but I'm gonna try it.
Sure.
So I think, in terms of family, my family specifically, we're all very different in how we turned out. So I'll say my oldest brother is kind of normal. My middle brother, he's off his shit like me. So we're both different, but we weren't always. We were all trying to be normal, like my oldest brother. But I would say the environment that I was in tried to shape me, but it didn't, because of my household. I told you I live in Washington, which means predominantly white area, and that is a violent area for a young Black woman. It's facts. Like, it's violent because it was not knowing what microaggressions were, not being able to process things, feeling like I'm ugly and I'm not. I'm just Black and people are racist. That was the whole thing, so I couldn't let that environment shape me. Actually, I had to unlearn a lot of things. So that's when the household came into play. So I would go home and learn about Black people, Black things, what happened in this era, as opposed to going to school and learning about Christopher Columbus and other bullshit. Everyone debunked that already in 2020. So it's just like, that was the process of me hearing this in my house, then going to school, learning something completely different, then coming to my own conclusion if I didn't believe either place. So I wouldn't even say like the house really, really shaped me. It only prepared me to be in this environment that I had an illusion of, because I wasn't actually learning real things until I started learning them for myself. Even in college, still unlearning. Right after K through 12, I went into college and started unlearning everything from K through 12. So everything just like boiled down to me learning for myself, of myself. Like, who actually am I? What are my roots? My roots from way back. I'm the only person in my family that's not. So I don't know what's shaping me. What's shaping me? Ancestors. Definitely.
I like
that's
that.
What's guiding me. Yeah.
Yes. I would say I'm in a similar boat right now. I feel pretty disconnected to my roots, trying to figure out a way I can kind of like, pay homage to the people that came before me. But I don't know if I don't think it's talked about in like global news or anything. And but I think there's like this disconnect. I'm from the Philippines, but there's a disconnect from the Filipinos there and the Filipinos in America. And it seems like that gap is just widening. And for me, I'm like, you know, I know for me, I'm not trying to build onto that gap. You know, I'm trying to close it together. It can't be done by one person. So for you, you know, you're talking about being guided by your ancestors and learning about yourself through you. Where did you start? You know, where could I start? You know,
Where could you start learning?
Like for you, did you try to learn more about the past, or like learn from the people around you, or yeah, in that sense?
I would say my experience of curiosity is more extreme than the average person, but I don't know if that's the truth, but I think it is like very extreme.
Mm-hmm.
But my dad and I were kind of on that same level of curiosity when I was younger, because I would always ask him, like, where are we really from? Because I'm African American, go figure. But that never sat right with me. I was like, no, are you sure? Like, no, this isn't it. And so me and my dad would explore that, and he would give me little hints because he always knew. But it's not based on like a DNA test or blood or nothing like that. It's based on intuitive knowledge that he found within himself. So he would give me little pieces as I grew older. Like, he gave me this map of the Americas before it was the Americas. So it had all like the trade lines where all the slaves came from, and it was just like a rough draft of a map, basically. And I had this map for years, and it wasn't until 2 years ago, I'm writing my senior thesis about West Africa, about Ghana, that I put all the pieces together for myself. And I remember I was just writing it, and I started crying. It was like 3 a.m. 3 a.m. I was writing, because I write in the late hours, and I just had this like huge whoa moment, because all my life he had been giving me all of these hints. I had been getting them myself too. And I was like, all right, I think this is where we're from. We're from Ghana. And it was a beautiful, beautiful thing to feel that and to know that. Because I remember reading the words in this article. If you are Black at all, you have any Black in you, Ghana is your home. It was in an article.
Mm-hmm.
I read that, and it just like sent so much chills down my body, like confirmation in my spirit. Like, oh yeah, this is what you were searching for. This is the answer you wanted. And yeah, that just happened. Literally just happened.
Yeah. So. That's a great story. That's what's up. Yeah, it feels good when that connection just clicks. And I haven't had that moment, I don't think. Well, I'm lying, but this is great. We're going to talk about the spirituality part right now. I had a reading done by this lady. She was also on the show, if you ever want to check out her episode. But she basically told me that my ancestors were trying to reach me, and I had been ignoring them for a long time, which is true. Like, this what connected for me. Like, I never got to know my grandparents. They all kind of passed away before I was of age of like, oh, I want to know who they are. So that part of my life kind of just went over my head, and I hadn't really thought about it. So when this lady comes to me and tells me like, yo, like, what you doing? Like, I feel like you told me you never met your grandparents, and I can feel like they trying to reach you right now. And that's what kind of got a lot of things rolling for me, as far as always feeling like now I have that committee behind me, like I have my grandparents on one side, my grandparents on another side, and everybody else behind them. And it's an interesting feeling. But for you, let me ask you about your spirituality. How's that guiding you versus maybe, I would say, do you consider religion and spirituality the same thing? Let me start there.
No, absolutely not.
Got you. What's the difference for you?
So religion is more so like a group-based thing. It's kind of like I don't like saying this because it's controversial, but I was raised Christian, and I felt like I didn't like that environment because it felt very culty. I didn't like the control that was on it, in terms of them saying I can't do this and that, or God hates me, I'm gonna go to hell. I didn't get that growing up. So I was like, this sounds off. I don't know what this is. But I always knew that I was a spiritual person because of the experiences I had when I was younger, which were very unique in terms of my peers.
Mm.
So spirituality, everyone is spiritual, first of all. That's what I think. Because you come into the world and you're spiritual, you're a soul. And then you come into a body and then you're a birth. So you're a creation of your parents. That's already spiritual. Creation in general, spiritual process. So yeah, I think a way of being in the world is spiritual. Religion is a practice. So that's the difference for me.
I got you. I got you.
Spiritual practice too. I don't know. It's kind of plain.
Well, I mean, I feel you. I got beef with religion as well, just because I was raised Catholic from K through 8, went to a private school, was getting religion classes and all that. And at a certain point, yeah, similar thing. I think it felt a little, I didn't like how it felt like we were zombies in church, everyone standing up, sitting down, same time, saying same things. And it never changed, like year after year, it was the same kind of thing. So it really got me, it was hard for me to get behind something like that, where I felt like it wasn't embracing our individual personalities and, sharing that part of ourselves. But yeah, no, I hear you. I had another question about it, but yes. So what do you think happens after all this, after where we are right now?
After where we are right now, honestly, I watched a TikTok that concerned me. And now it's like a conspiracy theorist. Like, I'm like, oh shit, so we never get to actually die? I don't know if I like that.
What happened?
It was just saying how like we just keep on coming back to Earth if we have lessons to learn. And you can go other places too, but it was mainly saying like a lot of people just come back to Earth, learn their lessons. So reincarnation. I'll say I believe in reincarnation. Sure. I believe that if there's things that need to be done, someone has to do them, and souls will come up and do them. So yeah, I don't actually think we rot in the ground and stuff. But I was thinking about that and how the process of putting someone in a box into the soil and their body decomposing is actually a nice process, because you're going back into the earth where you came from. So I think that's cool, because it's just going back into nature, and that's the root.
For sure.
Nature.
I would tell people now, like, maybe you should just cremate me, and then like, so you don't have to go through the trouble of getting the box and doing all this extra stuff. Just have me with some tree, so I feel like my energy is with that tree or in that area as well. I think it's, for me, I'm sticking to, it's all about our energy and like the energy that we carry. So once we're moving on from this part of our journey, that our energy is either left with the people that we've touched, or continuing to go out in the universe. At least fingers crossed. That's just my view. But yeah. I think it gives me some comfort to feel that way, and I think that's what sometimes religion and maybe spirituality for some folks is it's a comforting idea that allows to guide our lives. But yeah, just a heads up, we have about 10-15 minutes left in the podcast, so I think we can do one more number. Here we go.
Okay.
Everything good so far? It's been fun?
I like this talk. I'm really thinking.
Awesome. I'm happy to hear. So we got number 23 right after 22, and this one's a little, I would say, a little deeper, but what makes you feel vulnerable?
Vulnerable. So I'm a very vulnerable person in general. I'm a Pisces. Now, there it is.
It's your season. It's your season.
And the vulnerability to me is my strength. I like to feel the humanity in myself, because our sources definitely try to take the vulnerability and away from Black women. So I definitely have stepped into that as an honorable thing. And for me, yeah, it's always been my power. So what it looks like for me is just being honest with my emotions, sitting with them and not judging them and not allowing other people to influence the way I feel about myself when I am being vulnerable. That was a hard thing to come to, because when I was growing up, I wasn't allowed to show emotions. I was either being crazy or like, I just can't act like this. Like, this is white kids' things. And that did hurt, because I felt like a zombie. Like, I got numbed out a lot, and that wasn't working for me. Like, I can't just be numb. I have to feel things. As a fluid being, as a fish, I have to feel fluid in everything I'm feeling. So that has become my power. Definitely motivated a lot of art. It's motivated a lot of tough conversations. It's got things going. So instead of being stagnant and stuck and numb, I was able to get these things out so I could move forward. My relationships, in my life, and everything. So vulnerability is power. And if you're able to be vulnerable and stand in that, you'll get farther where you want to go. I think so.
For sure. Do you think, vulnerability being your strength, is it like fearless now for you to feel vulnerable? Like, is this, you could be out there and just be like, let me be me? Or go ahead. Oh, I see you shaking your head. So
it's not fearless. No, I wish it was. That's cool, but it's more so like, I'm not gonna be quick to suppress myself. I'm not gonna be quick to, say like, all right, well, I need to smoke. I gotta smoke. I gotta drink some. I'm not quick to do that. I'm quick to say, let me just sit down and feel this out. And let me just actually talk about this. Let me stop running from this. So it's actually getting to fear, looking it in his face and then saying, okay, talk about it. But
that's
for me, it's
hard.
not being full. Yeah, it's hard.
That is hard. I think that is still something I'm trying to deal with. I think right now I'm figuring out what kind of fear I like to overcome, and there's still I have fears that I'm like, God, I'm not ready to deal with that yet. Maybe in a couple of years, but yeah. No, I mean, vulnerability is interesting. Like it relates to that question earlier about having walls up, and why we have walls. I think I try to work. I work with students in a high school right now, and like right now it's really interesting to see how COVID has kind of just changed the game for schools, and how kids are kind of like, what we wanted what school looks like. I don't know if you've heard those stories before, but that's what's happening right now, is that kids are like, the old way is that you changed that for us, so now that we're back, it's never going to be the same. Don't try to make me do what we were doing before. But yeah, so I'm trying to connect with these kids because I can see, like, because of COVID and because of how much, I guess, time everyone spent at home and had that time to reflect and change their habits and change themselves, that I don't know about you, but when I was in high school, I was not into that. My mind was not thinking about these deep changes and going through a transformation. But it was kind of like was forced upon these kids, right? So now, like, being back in a social area, I feel like I can see that they want to get out of themselves, because I think as kids it's easier to. I don't know. Would you agree that it's easier to be open as a kid than it is as an adult, or is that different?
Well, depends on what grade. What grades are we talking about?
I'm in high school, so it's 14 to 18 year olds right now.
It's hard to be open. There's bullying going on. Those ages.
No, yeah. So you feel me? It's hard, but I'm an optimist. I like to think that if there's a way, I can find a way to figure it out. But yeah, vulnerability in this new age, I think it's gonna be good for the kids to kind of like go through this and maybe come out better than we did. I'm a lot older than you are, so I think I'm speaking for two different generations. But yeah, I definitely can feel it.
You're not that much older than me. You're like 4 years older. That's not that.
Okay. I mean, I'm not sure. I was 1990. I'll tell you that. I was born 1990. So, but yeah. Anyways, we made it to the final part of the podcast, the closeout questions. But before we get there, I want to do this exercise with you. It's called the 34th mantra. You familiar with mantras? Yeah.
Yes.
So I have a phrase for you to basically say to yourself. So this next screen I'm gonna put you on, and I'm gonna tell you it's gonna be another blooper because I forgot to set it up beforehand. But it's I am, I can, I will. That's the phrase, and I just want you to fill in those blanks. I am blank, I can blank, I will blank. So let me get you over there. See, black screen. I think you can see see the mess up, but boom, there you are. And go ahead, fill out that phrase.
I am powerful, I can do anything, and I will be successful.
For sure. Now you have yourself a little reminder. If you ever forget, this is a message from you to you, someday in the future. Thank you for participating.
I appreciate this.
All right, so moving on to the closeout questions. This next one is it's like a little shout out question. You don't have to name names, but who would you say has been the biggest mentor in your life?
Mentor, I'd probably say my friend's son. Yeah, they have been a rock for me, and we don't really get to see each other in the physical, but we have kind of like a long distance friendship right now. But there's someone I can talk to about spiritual things. Because I'm thinking about spiritual things all the time, and some people don't get it, I need that. You know what I mean? I really need that. So they've definitely been a rock for me. Appreciate them.
That's what's up. And his son? Shout out to son.
Yep.
All right. And then moving on to the next question, which is from my previous guest. So shout out to Georgie. Georgie's question for you is, where would you like to be in 1 year?
Like to be hard. I'd say I like to be on a stage singing my music. Yeah, how about that? I would like to do that.
Speak it into existence, right? That'd be dope. Her follow-up question though, she had a part 2 to this, and it is, how would you feel if you didn't get there?
I would feel like I wasted some more time.
But like you said, sometimes you just gotta keep experiencing. So it'll get you there. Trust me. This is what I say to myself. So I've been there. All right. The next question is, what would you like to ask the next guest that comes on to 34 Questions?
I would like to ask, what's something that inspired you to keep going? Like deeply inspired to make a big life change.
What's something that's inspired you to make a big life change? I'm just writing it down. Yeah. To make a big life. Gotcha. I know you said you were more used to asking people questions. You have a random one you could throw at me right now? I'm in the mood to answer a question.
Okay. What is something you do when you're really stressed out to kind of balance yourself out?
I don't know if I could say that on the podcast, but let me think. I would say, I like driving. I feel like if it was a very, very stressful moment, I think I would get in the car and listen to like my sad jams, just to get me through it. But I think it's because it makes me feel a little bit in control. Like if life is feeling out of control or there's nothing I can do, at least I can tell myself I can get myself from this point to this point in a car, and sometimes it's solo rides. So, you can have that space for yourself. But yeah, that's a good one. I think I'll add that one to the list at some point. But yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, have me reflect on that. Thank you for that. And then my last question for you, the question that ties everything together, is 100 years from now, your descendants are watching this video. What would you like to tell them?
Tell them that the world is in a way better place and everyone is proud of you being here.
Sure, I got you. Any last things you'd like to add before we head out of here?
Well, I'm just grateful for this. I feel very happy with how the conversation went, and I feel like this is something I needed. Because, low key, I've been going through it, but day by day, taking things day by day. And I was like, who is this person? You know what? I'm gonna do this. I like what this is. This sounds like a cool project. I'm gonna do this. This is fun. And it turned out to be a really reflective healing process for me. Now I feel like I'm gonna go write something.
That's super awesome to hear. And yeah, thank you for taking the chance to be on this podcast. I know I'm always thinking what people are like thinking about when I send them, my little spiel in the beginning. I know maybe some people don't take it seriously, but I'm glad it's speaking to the people that I think are open to it, because then we do have these great conversations, and it doesn't feel like I'm like prying into somebody that doesn't want to be here. So yeah. Thank you for coming on. I think we had a great conversation. If you're open to it, maybe in 1 year, I can have you back on. Maybe you got on the stage, maybe you haven't. But I think it'd be cool to just have that yearly, check-in, and for you to kind of see your growth. Maybe not now, but in 10 years or so, whenever. This is really just for you and the people that care about you to see, where you're at, journal entry. But yeah. Before you go, where can people find your stuff? As far as like, do you have any songs on YouTube yet? Or yeah, go ahead.
I have a SoundCloud, but if you want to find all my stuff, all my art, it's going to be my blog. So my blog is actually called Spiritually Ajar, which is AJAR.blog. So I have everything on there. So my music, my art, because I do everything. I'm one of those people that has like ADHD with art, and I can't keep my hands out of anything. So I've been doing all types of stuff.
I like to think that means you got vision, like you can see anything and be like, it could be more than that. And then, you try to go into that project. I hear you. And I could tell you it's been super painful for me because I always leave stuff unfinished. But I think, for me, I think I found my art piece that I want to continue with and like stay consistent with. And I think that'll come for you too. But don't give up, because I feel like it took me, especially during quarantine, I was doing every like different art project and, just trying to find out like what, my soul was being drawn to. So do what you need to do to find out for yourself as well. But thank you, Ashante, for coming by. I want to thank all the folks out there. If you were listening on Spotify or watching on YouTube, definitely appreciate your time as well. Remember to like, subscribe, share if you're enjoying the content. Remember to reach out, reach forward. As always, much love, and we'll catch you guys next time on 34 Questions. Peace. And then it fades away from there.